The history of tattoos. Tattoos are created by inserting colored materials beneath the skin surface. The first tattoos probably were created by accident. Someone had a small wound, rubbed it with a hand that was dirty with soot and ashes from the fire, and once the wound had healed, they saw that a mark had stayed permanently, and thus the tattoo was born. The word tattoo is said to have two major origins, from the Polynesian word ta, which means striking something, and the Tahitian word tatau, which means to mark something. It's arguably claimed that tattooing has existed since 12,000 years BC.
Tattoos have been around for thousands of years, and they appear to be everywhere now. At least 1 in 7 North Americans has a tattoo. On legs, arms, heads, and hands. They're out in the open and ready to be seen. Where did they come from, and who has tattoos? Until recently, it was widely believed that the Polynesian people invented the tattoo some 5,000 years ago on islands dotted throughout the South Pacific, thousands of miles from the nearest continents. It was believed that the practice then spread throughout Polynesia, reaching New Zealand to the south and Samoa to the north. Some say it's this region and the tools that the Polynesians used that actually gave tattoo its name, and that the word tattoo itself originates from the Samoan word tatau, which literally means balanced or fitting. Others say the word tattoo comes from the sound that the hand tool and the sticks make. But all these theories were shattered when, in 1991, on a mountain on the border of Italy and Austria, a frozen body was discovered. It was the oldest human ever found, a man, 5,300 years old, with flesh and organs, fingers and toes all intact. One of the most amazing and unique finds in the history of science. Otzi, the Iceman. The corpse offered a truly strange finding. It was covered in tattoos, more than 59 in all. Some have speculated that these are the markings of a shaman, a religious leader, and that the corpse was that of a sacrificed human. Tattoos are now applied with a tattoo gun, which was designed not by someone that looks like this, but someone that looks like this. It was Thomas Edison. The basic machine was invented in 1876 and called the autographic printer, an engraving device. A few years later, Samuel O'Reilly adapted the machine to inject ink into the skin, and later patented a tube and needle system to provide an ink reservoir. Strangely enough, tattoo ink is actually derived from metals. Red color and black color comes from iron oxides. Yellow comes from cadmium, and green from chromium. And since the tattoo dyes contain metal, MRI exams may cause tattoos to have a burning or stinging sensation. So you can cause a reaction when people see your tattoos, and also when they can't.
In history, the earliest tattoos can be found in Egypt during the time of the construction of the Great Pyramids. When the Egyptians expanded their empire, the art of tattooing spread as well. The civilizations of Crete, Greece, Persia, and Arabia picked up and expanded the art form. In the West, early Britons used tattoos in ceremonies. The Danes, Norse, and Saxons tattooed family crests, a tradition still practiced today. In 787 AD, Pope Hadrian banned tattooing. It still thrived in Britain until the Norman invasion of 1066. The Normans disdained tattooing, and it disappeared from Western culture from the 12th to the 16th century. American tattoos really took off after the birth of the electronic tattoo gun in 1891. Chatham Square in New York City is considered to be the birthplace of the American-style tattoo. It used to be the school of thought that only gangs, criminals, and sailors got tattoos. But then in the 1970s, everything changed, and tattoos grew in popularity across.
And so my next stop is the northern tip of the Polynesian Triangle, the Hawaiian Islands. Hawaiian tribal tattoos share a kinship with the Moko of New Zealand. They are both part of the Polynesian culture that discovered these islands. It's an ancient art, and it's thriving today among tattoo artists dedicated to bringing back the old traditions. Traditional Polynesian tattoos are tapped in by hand with tools that are carved out of animal bone. Let me tell you, this sounds like it's gonna hurt. I've come to meet local tattoo artist Isaiah Sulawape Tuatu'u, who tells me about the style, of his own tattoos.
The tattoos on my body is called contemporary, we call it new tribal. It's still the same meaning back in Polynesia, signs of protection, that's just in the modern day.
For Polynesians, getting inked has never been just for show. Tattoos define your role in society. They tell who you are, what you do, battles you've won, men you've killed. Polynesians believe that the right tattoo is like a shield that protects them from bodily harm and evil spirits. For an adolescent, enduring the first tattoo is a rite of passage into adulthood.
It was a sign of like a transformation. You no longer belong to mom, now you belong in the men's house. And you do all the men chores, hunting, fishing, farming.
Isaiah, explain to me a little about the Polynesian style of tattooing.
In Polynesia, we used to use a bone and a stick, and actually a striking stick. And what we do, we dip it in the dye, and it's been going on over the years. We've been practicing it for years.
Polynesian tattoo artists use a set of hand-carved needles known as nifo. Each comb of needles is about 1 to 2 inches wide and has around 30 to 40 teeth. Today, they use metal, but in the past, this fine-toothed comb was made from a bird's beak, a boar's tooth, or barbs from a fishtail. Fixed to a long wooden handle, the nifo is tapped with a striking stick to drive ink made from the soot of a kukui nut into the skin.
Painful process.
But a pea isn't an ordinary tattoo. It's reserved for milestones in life. Many believe that the word tattoo comes from this tapping method. Tata means repeatedly done by hand, and u means color. So for English sailors traveling through Polynesia in the 18th century, tata'u became the word tattoo.
Henna is the Persian name for this sweet-smelling shrub called Lawsonia inermis, and it's one of the oldest forms of body art, going back at least 7,000 years. Nindi is the Hindi name used to describe henna art. Henna is usually associated with religious ceremonies, but it transcends all religion, belonging to none exclusively, and used by Muslims, Hindus, Jews, Sikhs, and Christians alike. The henna plant contains one of the strongest known dyes to man, which can be used to stain skin, hair, fingernails, leather, silk, and wool. The leaves are dried and then finely milled into a powder, which is then mixed into a paste. The rest of the shrub is shredded and used for hair dyes, shampoo, and conditioner. Muslim women will often dye their nails with henna, as nail polish is not permitted whilst praying. Plus, the added benefit is that henna will actually condition the nails and also protect from fungal infections. It can help lower the body's temperature, soothing headaches and fevers. And because of its antifungal properties, it can be used to combat athlete's foot. It also has antibacterial properties.
Did your mum do designs like this?
No, in those days we didn't have cones, unfortunately, so it was just with cocktail sticks or matchsticks, and it literally would take all day. I remember we'd just sit there putting little dots and dashes on our hands, but you know, we loved it. It didn't matter that they weren't intricate designs like we have today. For us it was just, you know, sitting with our mother, with my sisters.
Henna is used in over 60 different countries around the world, and most of these countries have developed their own unique styles of henna designs. Indian designs can be very intricate, filling the whole hand like a lace glove. Peacocks, bride and groom, and religious symbols such as Ganesh are often incorporated into the design. Arabic designs tend to be big, bold floral patterns with lots of negative skin. Muslims are not permitted to depict designs of humans or animals. North African henna designs, as seen in Morocco and Algeria, can be either bold and floral or geometric with lots of straight lines and hidden symbols to ward off the evil eye. Somalian designs contain flowers, dots and lines to decorate the hands, arms and feet. Over the last few years, henna in the UK has progressively developed as an art form, allowing for an expression of individuality. It's now seen on men as well as women.
Japan has its own history of tattoos. Tattoos taken to elaborate extremes. They're called Irezumi, and they can cover the entire body. These are tattoos as high art. The designs echo Japanese woodblock prints of the 18th and 19th centuries. For some people, Irezumi becomes a virtual bodysuit. The tattoos are hidden from public view, but for those who wear them, they form a deep bond.
In Japan, the people in the art form that are called Irezumi, often with tremendous modesty and a tremendous sense of purpose, get tattooed all over their bodies. And it is a mark of being a member in this group. It has a set of patterns and symbols that are associated with the tattooing that people can recognize. It has implications for group membership, without a doubt.
Tattoos go back a long way in Japan. Among the Ainu people of the far north, the practice dates back thousands of years, but it was reserved for women. Their lips were tattooed with blue-black designs. The pointed extensions were added when they were married. In the rest of Japan, tattoos had a darker history. They were used as marks of identification for criminals and common laborers. The elaborate style of Irezumi developed around 200 years ago, inspired by popular illustrations of heroic outlaws who were covered in tattoos. Middle-class men adopted Irezumi as an act of rebellion. In those days, only aristocrats were permitted to wear elaborate kimonos. But for those who could afford it, a bodysuit of Irezumi could be hidden under their clothes. The government feared that the West would consider tattoos barbaric, so the practice was banned in 1869. Later, when visiting foreigners had themselves tattooed, it was legalized once again. Still, old attitudes die hard, and even today, Irezumi is associated with the underworld.
In Japan, people can be socially punished for having tattoos. Those with tattoos cannot be hired as government employees. It might also be difficult to work in a bank. People with tattoos are not allowed in saunas. They might not be allowed to swim in a pool. They're discriminated against in terms of what they can do.
Horiyoshi III is recognized around the world as one of the grand masters of Irezumi, an artist whose clients are honored to wear his work.
Some people get tattooed for religious reasons, some for its sheer beauty, some because it looks cool, or to emulate a tattooed person they admire. It is ultimately for personal satisfaction. People judge tattoos differently. Depending on who they are, they see them as something beautiful, grotesque, silly, or artistic.
Horiyoshi learned his craft from the man who tattooed him, Horiyoshi II, and adopted the same name as a way of honoring his teacher. There are hundreds of tattoo artists in Japan, but no more than half a dozen of his caliber. Covering the body with tattoos can take more than 2 years of weekly sessions and cost thousands of dollars. The technique is also incredibly painful, so the client must be as dedicated as the artist.
Once the carving begins, the individual must fight against pain. The amount of tattoos a person has on his body is a testament to his ability to overcome pain. Those who are able to endure for long hours will get a fine-looking piece of art on their bodies. Pain is definitely one of the appeals of tattooing, for without pain there is nothing to be proud of.
Tattooing in Japan, as in many other places, is often seen as a protective shield, as something that gives the body protection and a kind of umbrella of spiritual and supernatural power and control that the tattoos are meant to accomplish.
When my wife became pregnant, she thought she would like to get tattooed when the baby was born. She felt the tattoo would symbolically protect the baby.
When I first got a tattoo on my back, it was to protect my child so he would grow up healthy. I didn't want to just imitate a man's design, because I thought that would be awkward. I wanted something feminine and beautiful. I also wanted something other people didn't have.
Irezumi artists don't usually kill their subjects, but the people who wear these masterpieces have sometimes donated their tattoos to museums. Their skins are removed in one piece and preserved in airtight frames as works of art.
Hi, my name is Lou Rubino. I'm the owner and operator of Tattoo Lou's, Long Island, New York. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about tattoo safety. At Tattoo Lou's, we use the highest level of safety for tattooing. The Board of Health regulates tattooing here in Suffolk County, New York. Each artist must be licensed and each studio is licensed by the Department of Health. Today we are going to talk about tattoo safety and what you as a customer should be looking out for when you walk into a tattoo parlor. As the artist starts to prep their station, the first thing they're going to do is take off any body jewelry that they're wearing. Then we take a surface disinfectant and we clean the station that we work in. And all around the sink area. Throw in the garbage. Notice the garbage has a foot pedal. Opens and closes by a foot pedal so that you're not touching the garbage anytime while tattooing. Next thing you want to do is thoroughly wash your hands using an antibacterial soap. Okay, now we're going to apply our gloves in order to set up our tattoo station. Then I take a dental bib and I apply that to the station so that I can put my inks, my needles, and everything on a safe environment. Barrier film is used to protect surfaces that you work from and touch during the tattoo procedure. I'm sure you've seen it at many dentist offices. Next thing I'm going to do is get out a little plastic holder where we place our inks. Our inks are poured into the plastic holder and disposed of afterwards. Next step would be to figure out exactly what colors I would need to get my tattoo started. Next, I would take an ink that I'm going to use on my tattoo and pour it into the ink cap. All the needles we use in tattooing today are all disposable, single-service needles, pre-sterilized. They come in these sterile blister packages, kind of like hypodermic needles or other needles that doctors use today. These tubes are disposable tubes. It is okay to use stainless steel tubes or completely disposable tubes. The stainless steel ones get cleaned in the ultrasonic cleaner and then sterilized in an autoclave, just like a doctor's tools would. The disposable ones are just single service. You use them once and throw them away. Next, you will notice on the disposable tube and disposable needle that they both have an indicator indicating that it is sterile. The little blue dot has started at red and changed color to blue, showing that the sterilization procedure was completed. Also, they are all dated with an expiration date of when it is sterile to. The needle also, this needle was sterile with EO gas, used only if package is undamaged. And the expiration date is stamped here, 2/2013. The way the process works is this needle actually goes right inside the tube here. And then is attached to the tattoo machine. Always make sure when you're getting a tattoo that your artist opens a fresh, brand new needle right in front of you. This here is called an eye loop. Every tattoo artist should be checking his needles to make sure that the needles are perfect and there's no dings or dents in any of the needles. We should now cover the portion of the chair at least that we are doing the tattoo on. So if we're just doing an arm tattoo, a lot of artists may just cover the arm of the chair. Or we have covers that actually cover the entire chair. A lot of artists will use traditional saran wrap to cover the armrests. At this point, we would set up our tattoo machines and have them ready to go, and then we would start getting prepared to get ready to actually do the tattoo. Before doing the tattoo, we're going to remove these gloves and put on a fresh pair of gloves. After putting on a fresh pair of gloves, we will also be putting on a pair of sleeves. What the sleeves will do is protect the customer and the artist from the rest of the arm area here. The artist shouldn't be touching anything unless it has a barrier film on it that they're going to remove after the tattoo. If they do touch anything, like get a phone call, pick up a phone, they should remove their gloves first and then reapply a new set of gloves at all times. After the tattoo is done, we're going to remove the tattoo needles from the tubes. Now these are contaminated tattoo needles, so we're going to put them in our sharps container. So they get properly disposed of. A medical waste company will come pick up the sharps container and make sure that they are disposed of properly. At the end of the tattoo, the artist should now dispose of your ink, your tubes, and anything left from the tattoo. We're also going to remove the barrier film from all areas, throw it in the garbage, remove the tattoo sleeves, and remove the gloves. So once that is all complete, the tattoo artist would wash their hands once again. After your tattoo is complete, now the rest is up to you. You must take good care of your tattoo. We bandage it up with a non-stick gauze when you leave here. That bandage should come off in about 2 to 3 hours after the tattoo is completed. You're going to wash your hands thoroughly, remove the bandage, and apply a healing ointment, such as bacitration, A&D, tattoo goo. Go by the suggestions of the tattoo artist. And also, after washing it and applying the ointment, it's fine to leave it air out as long as you don't have tight clothing or anything rubbing on it. It is okay to get your tattoo wet in the shower because you're just going to wash over it gently, quickly. Do not soak it in water for the first 10 days. So no hot tubs, no swimming. Also keep it out of direct sunlight for 10 days. After the 10 days, you always want to put on a sunscreen. Actually, the higher sunblock, the better. The life of your tattoo depends upon you. It is normal for your tattoo to peel. It will get itchy. That's all part of the healing process. I'm Lou Rubino with Tattoo Safety.
I'd want them to sit down and think once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 10 times about whether or not they really do want to put something that may be permanent on their body.
Tattoos are more popular than ever, but there are some important things to consider before getting inked.
As a physician, I would tell them that they want to go to a very reputable place. They'll have an autoclave, they'll have gloves, they'll have disposable needles. Everything will be on the up and up. And you should ask, and they'll be more than happy to answer those questions. If they are not willing to answer those questions, then clearly a little alarm should go off.
It's also important to know what kind of tattoo not to get.
Time and time again I hear, I never get a name, never get a name, never get a name again. You know, you could put a heart, you can put any other form of symbol of your love, but that name often causes a lot of emotional trauma. When things break up, they often break up in a negative way, and then to look down at that name, it's not just a tattoo. It's a physical and emotional reminder of what did not work.
And when thinking about a tattoo, Where you get it can be as important as what you get.
And they would have to think very carefully about where they put that tattoo. Because should they change their mind, it'll be a lot easier to live their life and conceal it in certain areas rather than in others. Are you ready?
Yes.
That's why Tracy's having her tattoo removed, even though she loved it at first.
When I got my tattoo, I felt really liberated. It felt really awesome to have this thing on my back. That was really fun for a while, and as soon as that wears off, I just felt that I had like this thing on my back that was like following me around everywhere I went. If I had to do it over again, I would maybe get a tattoo in a place that would not be a problem.